Welcome, everybody. This is Susan from Grief Heals, and today I wanted to talk about how to free yourself from the obsessive thinking about whatever is prompting anger, regret, or guilt. We all have something. When somebody we love dies, there's always something that feels unfinished that we should have said, we shouldn't have said, or we should have done, or shouldn't have done, or whatever. Everybody has something. And one of the really common ones, just as an example, is feeling bad that you left the room. And that's when they died. This happens all the time. And people feel so badly about that. And one level, it's just regret that they weren't there and they didn't want their loved one to die alone. And then it can morph into guilt. Why did I leave? I shouldn't have left. I never should have walked out of the room. Why did I do that? And you can hear a little anger in that too. I shouldn't have done that. Why did I do that? I didn't have to leave at that moment. The fact of the matter is, you didn't know it was going to be that moment. You just didn't. But all of those feelings play off of each other. And those are the sorts of things that people can think about a lot over time. One of the reasons we keep thinking about it over and over again is that when somebody dies, there are not obvious ways of making amends or resolving an issue. And that's what a lot of this ruminating is about, mind trying to find a way to fix it. So we replay the conversation, we think about what we might have done differently, we do all the what ifs, how it might have ended differently. We think of all sorts of ways it could have been better, it could have been avoided. And it's all the mind trying to find a solution. So if you're doing something like this where you're thinking about it constantly and it doesn't feel like it's getting better and it's going on for a long time, there are some things you can do. One of them is an exercise that I wrote down for you. The link is in the description. It's a pretty quick and easy first step to moving out of this place. Anger, regret, guilt are not separate. They're not just one thing. They go together. Regret leads into guilt, leads into anger, and they start playing off of each other. So you may not even be able to identify whether it's regret, guilt, anger, or even shame. Shame is in the mix as well. So just understand that this is a constellation. So how do we begin to untangle this and find some peace around whatever it is that happened? There are three components that may or may not be obvious. One is compassion, developing self-compassion. Two is increasing one's awareness. And three is becoming an observer or witness of your own process. Now, of those three, the only one I would recommend for people in the first 6 months is the compassion. That's the most important at that particular point in time, because most people don't have the capacity to really work beyond that. And the compassion and self-compassion is a really big ask in the first 6 months. So even that may be difficult. So take it easy. You don't have to do this all at once. This isn't, you're going to snap your fingers and it's all going to be better. It's not. But these are the three things to be working towards. And as you move through the first year, you can begin to develop the awareness and the witnessing capacity as you go. But don't try to force this early on because it won't serve you. So what do I mean by compassion or self-compassion? We're really hard on ourselves with this stuff. And all we really mean is just being gentle with yourself. Give yourself a break. That you really did do the very best you could with what you had in the moment. When somebody is dying or has died or anywhere in that process, you are stressed. You're under tremendous amount of stress. You are exhausted. If you're doing any kind of caretaking, you are exhausted. And just the emotional energy that's being expended is exhausting. And you simply do not have the bandwidth to be functioning at your best. Nobody does. So all of those would have, should have, could have look easy in retrospect. But in the moment, they were not at all easy. They weren't even possible. And so that's really important to understand. You did the very best you could with what you had available to you at the time and what you knew at the time. So just give yourself a break. Okay? The second thing is awareness. You're not going to think your way out of this because your experience of grief and of anger, of regret and guilt is throughout your body. It is in your heart. It's in your psyche. It's in your spirit, your soul. It is at every part of your being is impacted by this. And so as you cultivate awareness, it is beginning to notice where you're feeling it, how you're feeling it. What are you holding in? How are you holding it in your shoulders? How are you holding it in your posture? What aches and pains do you have in your body that might be part of this? You might just want to notice around the heart. What's going on around the heart? What's going on down in your belly and your solar plexus? Those sorts of things. And the third is a more expanded version of awareness. It is becoming an observer of your own process. It is being a witness to your own process. And it really involves stepping back and watching how you're responding, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you believe even. So you step back, and what that does is it gives you perspective on the situation. The thing that you're feeling bad about, it gives you perspective so you can see it differently. You can see it from a different angle rather than when you're in it and it just feels so awful. Out of that perspective, you begin to get insight into how it happened, what happened, why it happened. And often, more often than not, I think you begin to see why it happened, that was a really good reason it happened. It wasn't something you were just mean and awful and terrible. There was a good reason it happened the way it did. But you don't always get there until you can step back and look at it. So those are the three things that over the first year you can begin to cultivate: passion, self-compassion, and as you move into the second half of the first year, awareness. Some of that might happen earlier, but certainly by 6, 7 months, it's possible to begin cultivating that. And then creating this witness observing self to observe your own process. Those are the things that really need to happen. Thanks for joining me. If you have questions, comments, please feel free to ask them in the comments, and subscribe if you feel so inclined. You take care. Bye-bye.